To you.
Bole Baba Ki
Jai.
Jai. Welcome again to the Haidakhandi Universal Ashram. And we're here once again with Dr. Arvind, the chairman of our Haidakhan Samaj. And we're so grateful he traveled from India with his beautiful daughter and son-in-law and various friends. Grateful to be together. And we've asked him today after the fire ceremony to share some words about whatever comes to your mind. And if anybody has questions, you can also ask him. Bole Baba Ki Jai.
Bole Baba Ki Jai. So I'm going to explain to you the ways in which God can be practiced or can be prayed for in the world over. So there are two ways basically. One is known as the Gyan Yoga, which is the path through wisdom, and the other one is Bhakti Yoga, which is path through devotion. So the Gyan Yoga part is what Lord Buddha did. Gautam Buddha, half the world, if you go eastwards of India, is all Buddhist, right till Japan. So there must be literally a very big magnet, of Buddhism. So Lord Buddha, what he did was plain, simple meditation. He was a prince in a kingdom, and he was living very happily till he got into his mind that there is something more in life. Who am I? Who is this? Etc. How do things work? So he left his house and his, young children and lovely wife, and he went miles away, hundreds of miles away, and sat below what is known as a Bodhi tree in Gaya, which is in Bihar, in India. And he sat there in lotus posture for 6 years, and then he got his enlightenment. So those of you who were present in the morning, I asked this question to Babaji. And the question to Babaji was that, Babaji, how would you like us to progress on the spiritual path? Us meaning me, I was 28-year-old, 29-year-old, sitting in front of him. And Babaji said that do your Karam Yoga and Jap Yoga, which is, Karam Yoga is do your whatever the work has been entrusted to you, you must do that to the fullest capability. If you are doing better, try to do your best, that kind of a thing. And even when we are in school and college, we are taught, our teachers tell us that it is 99% perspiration. That is the path to success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. You've heard this? I'm sure all of you have. So same thing Babaji repeated in a different kind of a manner, that you have to do your Karam Yoga, and he emphasized, I'm sorry I'm re-emphasizing it, but he put too much of emphasis on Karma Yoga, that you have to do your duty, you must do your duty, the fullest possible thing, and say 99% if you quantify it, and 1% is chanting the God's name. Now if you take out 1% of your time in your busy life, it comes to 15 or 16 minutes per day. So that's a good beginning, I think. And what you have to do is to constantly chant the God's name, whichever God you believe in. Babaji never asked you to change gods, never asked you to change religion. And therefore all our ashrams are universal, Haidakhandi ashrams. You may be of any religion, any caste, any creed, black, white, yellow, brown, doesn't matter. You are most welcome here. Practice your own job, and Babaji will help you in realizing your God faster. If you have no God, if you come with an open mind, then Om Namah Shivaya is a path. So this is what Gautam Buddha did. So he got enlightenment after sitting under the Bodhi tree, and he meditated. So that is not the path for you and me. Babaji has clearly told us, sorry, no meditation. And I asked him, why not meditation? And he said, because you don't have the time. And even if you had the time, you will not find the Guru to teach you meditation. So please remember, he did not say meditation is bad. He said meditation is very good, but it is not for you. So then I said, what to do? And he said, well, you have to do. So there is a qualitative part, a soft part, and a hard part. The soft part is, please try to lead your lives in love, truth, and simplicity. if you don't have these traits, stop coming to temples and ashrams and churches. Stop going there. And the hard part, which you have to do as penance, is your Karam Yoga and your Jap Yoga. So as far as Babaji is concerned, the Jap Yoga I have emphasized earlier, and that is that you have to get up preferably early in the morning. And that too, there was a discussion between me and Babaji. And I said, I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, Babaji, I will do Jap Yoga, I'll do Om Namah Shivaya at that time. He said, no. I said, why? He said, you must try to finish the Jap before sunrise. And I asked him again, why? He says, because at that time we listen. So those of you who belong to India, there is a time given, Brahm Muhurat. Maybe you have heard about it. And this is usually starting about 2.5 to 3 hours before sunrise every day. So an earnest request to all of you is that this is, if you have to take back something, after coming to a place like this, try this thing. Throw the TV out of your bedroom, please. Throw it out. Sleep early. Sleep early by 9:30, 10. By 5, around that time, get up, take a bath, and do at least half an hour of chanting of the Mahamantra Om Namah Shivaya, or as I said earlier, any mantra which your gurus have, people have given you. And after that, it is still early, so then I asked Babaji, what do we do? He says, please go out and do some exercise. So again, if you are doing cycling, where is, Jason? Jason is a cyclist, somebody else may be a runner, jogger, whatever. Please do that. And if you're doing nothing, please get up, wear your kids, wear your tracksuit, and go at least for a walk for 45 minutes to 1 hour. A healthy mind is a healthy body, and you cannot do much jap. I'm telling you, if your parts in the body are aching and paining, believe you me. So this is a very simple kind of a totka. Totka की अंग्रेजी क्या होती है? It's a formula. Yeah.
Regimen?
Yeah. But anyway, so do your jap yoga early in the morning. Get ready. Wear your kids. Wear your tracksuit or whatever. Go for a walk for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever. Come back and you are fit for the day. Then you can go and face the good, bad, ugly world the way you want and live in truth, simplicity and love. If you're driving a car, where is Shashi? Shashi is sitting right here. I was telling her she is a car driver of excellence. And she's got another 100,000 miles to go before she calls it a day. So when she's driving, she needn't, switch on the FM radio. She needn't put those AirPods or earplugs into her ear. She can just keep on repeating Om Namah Shivaya. But the problem with people like us is that when we get out of the house and we sit in the car and we get the wheel, at that time we remember Om Namah Shivaya. We have not done it. So let's start doing it. No harm. Any time when you remember God's name, good time. But to get the best out of this, as told to me by Babaji, is what I've just explained to you. Preferably before sunrise, finish it. And I have got this mandated also, re-endorsed by Sikh gurus. There was a Sikh guru in Delhi whose blood I used to go and take. And one day when we reached there, he and his doctor and me, we found the Guruji in a meditative posture. He was a Sikh guru, perturbed. And his eyes were closed. And we sat there for about 5 minutes. We didn't want to disturb him. And he opened his eyes and a smile came to his face. And he says in Punjabi, I'll first say in Punjabi, Oi, main ki vekh raha? Tere piche Shiv damru lage khlota hoya, damru baja raha hai. Aur ode naal Hanuman bhi hega. He says, oh my God, what am I seeing behind you? Lord Shiv is standing behind you with a damru. And with him is also standing his good friend, his, commander-in-chief, Hanuman. And then by that time I'd gone towards his, asan, and I put my head on his feet, and I said, Mere liye hukam ki hai. What is the order for me? That's very good. I can bask in that glory. Lord Shiva is standing behind me and Lord Hanuman with him. But what is the order? And since my head was bent like this, he slaps me on the back on my, you know, and he says, "Come Karija, na laija. Keep doing your work and keep chanting God's name." Same thing, ditto, not even the change in comma or anything from what Babaji said. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your takeaway today. You must practice more and quantity matters. Babaji said so. He says there is no point in giving you a mantra if you don't charge the battery of the mantra. So let's talk about how to charge the battery of the mantra. So you have to hold, if you have carrying your malas, please take them out right now. Please hold the mala in your right hand on the fourth finger, on your ring finger. At the second finger, the forefinger, we don't use in our rituals at all because this is the bad finger. When you say that he fingered me and he's after me, he's like that, she's like this, he did that to me, so we don't use this finger in our rituals. So this is never used. First, third and fourth finger, and each bead, each mala has, rosary has 108 beads. You got to pull with the first, third and fourth. Balance it on the fourth, and with first and third, pull. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Namah. And keep doing it, and cool and calm. This is actually meditation. And if I may explain to you further, that the place where you have to look and concentrate is between your two eyebrows. And for those who don't find this convenient, you can look at the tip of your nose. So it is different things for different people, but I find it easier to concentrate here. And once you have done this a few million times, and in the morning I also said, that unless you charge the battery of the mantra, so Om Namah Shivaya, if you've done 625,000 times, you reach stage 1. And you've got to reach at least 100,000 stages. So then the mantra will start doing it. Babaji emphasized, mantra will not do anything for you till you charge the battery of the mantra. And you suddenly see after some time, things which you had never even dreamt of, they start happening to you. And I don't want to boast about my career, but I'm an ordinary doctor. Never in my life I thought that I would be looking at money, not in my blood. And Forbes magazine has put me as the 87th richest man in India. $2.55 billion is supposed to be my wealth. But again, this wealth you don't see, it is what they have calculated, lying somewhere. So, and Babaji told me when I was 28 years old, that a day will come when your name will be there in each and every lane in India. And I used to, I said, how can a doctor's name be there in every lane in India? Babaji doesn't know what he's saying. I used to think like that. And today if you go, there is a Dr. Lal Path Labs practically in every lane in India. Last year we tested 30 million patients. On an average day we can test more than 100,000 patients. So whatever the boss said comes true. So please have faith. So do your Karam Yoga, do your Japa Yoga and leave the rest to him. And he has said so. You take one step towards me, I will take 10 steps towards you. So rest are all stories, and I will tell you of a story that I was sitting with Babaji. Babaji was sitting somewhere. I was sitting like this. And just 5 steps ahead, 5 feet away from me, was a very senior member, which many of us would remember, Hargobind Baba. He was a Swiss doctor and belonging to the top Rockefeller kind of families in Switzerland. The 5 top families in Switzerland, one of those families, Sky. And he had taken away all his share and come and put it at the feet of Babaji to give him liberation. So Babaji started the topic. I had no idea. As far as I was concerned, Hargobind was a good friend. He used to come to Delhi and I used to make him buy, these instruments for surgery, etc. Because by that time he was wanting toward Babaji. I told him to do something there in Haidakhan. And Babaji tells me, he says, this chap has come all the way, given me all his wealth, and he thinks I should give him liberation. Liberation is what we call moksha, that the cycle of life and death finishes. Otherwise you're born, reborn again, etc., etc. You keep doing your karma, the good karma, bad karma. It is stored in spiritual computers up there. And when it's time for you to be born again, those karmas from the dynamic random hard disk DRAM is transferred in the form of planets or your astrological chart, and then you are born. How come you were born to an air marshal's son? How come I was born to a doctor's family? How come I was not born on a street where buildings were being constructed and a labor woman putting bricks on her head and a small child was lying just next to her? How come? So this can only be explained by your past karma, and some past karmas are good, some are not so good. So when debit and credit become equal, you will get moksha. So now coming back to Babaji's topic of moksha. So he says he wants me to give him moksha. So I said, Babaji, you can give it. I mean, what's stopping the big boss from giving moksha? He says, no, I cannot give it. I said, why? He says, who will do his karma yoga? Now, what I have not told you is, Hargobind Baba was a highly qualified doctor, like us, a medical doctor and a psychiatrist. He gave up all that. And Babaji said, he's not done his karma yoga. No moksha for him. Period. So remember, whatever you have to do, finish your act. Now, Rahul and I, we're past that stage. We're both 74 years of age. He and I are from school together. So we have done whatever we had to. But whatever Babaji, puts on our plate, on our shoulders, we have to do it gracefully. And that is what my endeavor is. So whatever I was Babaji's de facto chauffeur. And I've driven him thousands of kilometers on Indian roads, and he used to discuss with me many things. And I'll tell you now a kind of the light-hearted part. So I was driving the car. India was pretty much like Russia. We had only 2 or 3 cars, Ambassador and Fiat. And then came Standard Herald. So I would press the accelerator and the car would stop. I would press on the brake and the car would accelerate. I would turn the wheel to the left, the car would go to the right. And Babaji looks at me very slyly. He says, "Aap gaadi theek chalaiye." So I said, "Maharaj, main gaadi nahi chala raha, is waqt aap gaadi chala rahe ho." He said, "Drive your car carefully," he tells me. I said, "Sir, I'm not driving the car, you are driving the car right now." So that they were, and another time when the main road was broken, and when he told me he said go through the fields, the farmland, we went there, slush, etc., etc. Then we came up to join the main road again, a bypass, and it was a drop of at least 4 or 5 feet. So I looked at Babaji, I stopped. I said, "I'm not going to jump the car from this distance down on the road." So I looked at him. "What are my instructions?" He said, "Yes." So I went. The car landed with a big bang, and what you call the sump of the car touched the ground, etc., etc. But touch wood, the car was okay. I kept on driving. When he gets down, he tells me, he says, "Arvind, that was a mistake on my part. I should not have asked you to, jump over that kind of a thing." So that was second lesson for me. If you are ever in the wrong, please admit it gracefully, and the thing stops there. Otherwise, to hide one lie, you've got to tell another 100 lies. So please remember this. In your personal relationship, official relationship, whatever, business, private, whatever. If you ever make a mistake, humbly, old man, the king of the universe is telling me he made a mistake. So I bet you and I can easily say that. So that's the second thing which I learned. Then one fine day, because as I told you, we were only buying ambassador cars, which are absolutely, hopeless cars. But there was no choice for us. So one ambassador car would be with us for 5 years, whatever, 3 years. Then we'd sell it and we get another ambassador car. Now this time one of my patients, he thought that, he must oblige me. And he says, Dr. Lal, do you buy ambassador cars? I said, well, we have been buying ever since my father's days. He says, I have a car dealership. I am Major so-and-so, some retired guy in Madras Hotel in Delhi and in central India, in central Delhi. And we were buying it from another, comparable family which was known to us, Allied Motors. So I said, yes, a car is a car is a car, the same model, from X or Y, doesn't matter. I took that car. I remember it was a white colored ambassador car. I remember the number DLI 195. Time was 1980 or 81. And with much power, he summoned me, and I, in the new car that I'll have my guru sitting next to me, etc., and got the car absolutely shining. And we went to Jamrani Ban. Baba would walk up to that place, and he sat in the car. And he tells me, "Ye khatara kahan se utha laye? From where the hell have you brought this? What jalebi?
Junk.
Huh?
Piece of junk.
Junk, absolutely. Why have you brought this piece of junk for me?" And my heart sank. It's a brand new car, and Babaji is saying like this. And then he looks at me, he says, in future, don't ever buy such cars, buy an imported car. So imported car those days, of who lived in India, we could not buy directly. And we could only buy the second-hand cars, say from United Nations agencies or diplomats or somebody in working WHO or UNICEF. And all these guys had to sell their cars to an Indian agency by the name of STC, State Trading Corporation. And then the State Trading Corporation, always the government is out to make a fast buck. So they would invite tenders, they would show the cars to you, and you had to give it in writing. So my heart sank because I knew what the cars, a Toyota, Corolla at that time, second hand used to cost more than 400,000 rupees. Those days in 1980. And an ambassador car was costing about 80 or 90,000 rupees. 10 times, 5 times more. So I just kept quiet. There's no point in arguing on such, worldly matters with your guru. He's told us, he said, yes, yes, sir. But after about 9 or 10, maybe after a year, he summoned me again, and I brought the same car. Now he got angry at me. He said, I told you to sell off this junk, and you haven't done so. Why? I told you to buy an imported car. Now this time I said I must have it out with him. I said, Babaji is a cosmic human being. He doesn't know about ground reality. So I said, Babaji, do you know how much it costs? He says, why the hell are you so worried about how much it costs? It will cost you, it will cost you the same as this khatara, as this junk. And this was 1984, after 2 months or 1 month, Babaji called it a day. And I was still saddled with that khatara. That khatara had no brakes. The clutch broke 3 times. And God knows what all happened. And I was happy to get rid of it. And now, and still we did not improve, what Babaji had said. But these things come very, very late in life. So my mother and I, we were business partners. We said, let's go and order another ambassador. I told her, I said, Babaji said that you must buy an imported car. She said, you shut up. The Babas are there for their own kind of thing, not for the kind of things. Keep quiet. Humble son, obedient son. So we would go to now, not to the first guy who sold us the junk. We went to the original, and again ordered an ambassador car. And then he would say that, okay, you wait for 1 week, it will come. After 1 week, my mother and I, we would again walk down, walking distance from our house. Scindia, Allied Motors in Scindia house. And this is, doctor, the car is left Calcutta, that's where it was manufactured, and takes 3 or 4 days. Come tomorrow, day after, it will be here. Just tomorrow and day after, etc., went on and on. And we would both go back to our lab, which was on Hanuman Road, about 10 minutes walk, dejected. So one day, a driver class of a person, in India we are lucky that we have help, and those are, domestic help. We even have drivers. So a driver came, who I recognized as the driver of a neighbors in Hanuman Road. I said, his name was Billu. I said, yes, Billu. He said, sir, I see you and Mataji go every day to that shop, Light Motors, and you come back dejected. He says, if you don't mind, if you're willing to, chota mo badi baat, if you don't mind listening to a youngster, I would recommend that you come with me to STC. I said, what is STC? I, behaved as if I don't know. He says, they sell imported cars. I said, then? He said, I'll take you there. But I said, those cars are very costly. I told him exactly, the Toyota Corolla costs 400,000 rupees. He says, no, sir, we have a jugaad. Jugaad is the other name that we have some setting there. And I said, what is that? They belong to the big industrialist group known as Jindals. They have the steel plants and this and that, that kind of thing. So I said, what happens then? He said, we've got a gentleman. He was some South Indian. So he says, he gives you an approximate price of the car. So they showed me 2-3 cars. I liked a Datsun 180B. It had belonged to the Rice Research Institute in Hyderabad. And it was, so I liked that car, started, everything was fine. I said, how much should I put here? So when he told me the price, it was almost the same price which Babaji had told me. I couldn't believe my ears. This is such a fine car, such a low price. He said, yes, sir. So when I put my bid, I put all the things and adding up to 108 to say, adding to number 9. And I gave my bid and I won the bid hands down. And the moment I got that car, there were other brokers, etc. Oh, doctor will give you 20% more, will give you 30% more. I'm like, shut up. Not interested in selling. For the first time in my life, I drove a car and I would try to restart it at a traffic signal because the damn car was noiseless, just like electrical cars. In India, we'd never seen a car like that. And it was automatic shift. And lo and behold, it would cool in summers and heat in winters, which Indian cars are not doing. So thanks to the car driver Billu, I was richer and Babaji's saying, came absolutely perfect. So I think I will stop here. And if you have any questions, the worldly matters. Last thing I think also share with you. This was on the 15th of January 1984. And we had done a whole night Kirtan, Jap, etc. on Makar Sankranti, and next morning was 15th, and we were going to go back to Delhi, my mother and I. And he suddenly called me and he was looking very serious. And he says that you better be here on the 14th of February to take me. So business as usual, I said, I'll of course come with you wherever you're going. He looks up, he says, you can't come, they will be. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. So I'm the only chap, at least whom I know, in the entire Samaj, whom Babaji gave the date of his departure. Then he told me also, he said, whatever I've told you, all that entire thing which he had discussed with me, he says, जो भी मैंने तुम्हें बताया भूलना मत. Whatever I've told you, don't you forget it. So I thought like an errant schoolboy, I had forgotten something. He told me to do something. He asked me to check on helicopters. He asked me to check on jet boats. All that I did. Anyway, maybe there's something which isn't any asani. Whatever I have told you, in the course of my talks with you, don't forget that. Fine. And then, 15, 20 years later, I said, my God, and I would try to remember an incident. So I started writing down the caption of the incident. Visit to Vrindavan. Visit to Hanuman Mandir for my sons, something. Visit somewhere else. And after another 10 years passed, I said, well, if I don't write, a paragraph on each, I will forget everything because memory goes very fast. So in 2010, I started writing the book, which is Corporate Yogi, which is, many of you may have read it. And I counted the number of incidents. Ramnoti, there were 129 incidents, at a personal level with me. So all those 129 incidents I have tried to recapture. One or two I have still forgotten, but that's what human mind is. And that is what's a concise kind of a book on my experiences with Babaji. Whatever he said, I've put it down there. But I would like to re-emphasize that they ain't no shortcut. Your penance is your work and chanting God's name. Thank you very much.
Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Yes,
Oh, somebody
Rahul.
has a question.
Rahul has a question.
Rahul, go ahead, speak it loud so everybody on the video can hear too.
Okay. I read your book, Arvind. It's a wonderful book, and I hope somebody makes it into a movie one day. It deserves to be made into a movie, but that's another story. If I remember correctly, Babaji said to you that one day you will be the health minister.
Right. He did.
I'm waiting for that day.
Well, he did. And you see, I had an argument with him on that. I said, Babaji, why do you say that I'll become a minister one day? You know that I am anti-politics. I don't like politicians. I don't want to. And I said, I will never go and ask any party to give me a ticket. Leave aside stand in election. And so he kept hearing me, etc. And then he suddenly says, the matter actually started by him calling me Mantriji, Mantriji. Mr. Minister, Mr. Minister, he would start calling me. So for 1 year, this, cat and mouse game continued. So one day I caught hold of him when he was alone with me. I said, why do you keep, calling me Mantriji, Mantriji? You know I'm not interested. Then I just told you what. He says, by your saying, it has no difference. It is etched on stone that you will become a minister one day. And I will definitely give you health, but sometimes I think I will even give you home, which is internal security. So, true to my character, I have not gone to any politician. I have not tried to, get pally with them. And when it happens, and you'll all be around if it happens. So far in my life, whatever Babaji has said has always happened.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a question about mala. Doing japa with the mala. I've been told that when other people are around, you should do it in a mala bag so people don't see.
Yeah. So the answer to that is that there are mala bags. When you're sitting in a congregation, you should do it in a mala bag because it's not good to expose what you are doing, and especially chanting of God's name to everybody. So there are mala bags which are available, but if you're doing it in your room, you can do it, your way, but at least do it. That's the bottom line.
I've also seen some people just cover with their shawl. Similar, if they're in a group, like you said, you just put your
Absolutely.
sari or shawl over too.
So if you're sitting in a group and you're doing your mala, and in India we got very fancy by this forefinger, the finger, this is pointing out, and your three fingers and the whole rest of the hand is inside, and you're going on. So that's how it happens.
And we do have a few copies left of his book in our shop, so.
Yeah. Well, what I would also. You can't ask me a question. He's asking me a question. So another book which you should also read is, see, my time, I met Babaji in 1974 for the first time. 74 and 75, I had his darshan in Delhi. But in 77 only I went to Haidakhan for the first time. And this Vijay Gupta's book, which we are trying to get you here, should arrive, is before my time. So now you will hear that, when Babaji appeared for the second time, and you will not find this kind of an example anywhere in the history of this earth, that an incarnation appeared twice at the same place in the same cave. So the old Haidakhan Baba and the new Haidakhan Baba as we knew him. So Vijay Gupta was a youngster, 14 years of age, when Babaji set eyes on him and took him with him to be his personal valet. to his own helper before Mansingh came. So he looked after Babaji and gave a narration, he's written a book in Hindi which I got translated into English. So please read that, which is a very interesting part. Because people would ask, Babaji, how do you see your Haidakhan Baba? You know? So all those tough questions Babaji has answered. So you should read that book.
And because I met Babaji in 1981, so even far more. But in this book, Baba's still not quite on earth, in 70, 71. These first wouldn't eat any food, they had to force some fruit down him once in a while or water. Didn't do any of the things we think, because he wasn't human and barely spoke. When people asked, why don't you give sermons? Baba said, because you couldn't hear them. You would just, so that's why I have you chant all the time, so that when I do speak, you'll hear me. There's just such precious gems in that, and then in your book, it's just very beautiful. So when we get it in the shop, we'll let you know again.
One thing which is absolutely out of the ordinary is Vijay Gupta served him, Babaji, for 3 years. Never did he see him visit the toilet or the number 2 job. Never. Never. Now, if this is not, a person from outer space, then who is? He's written that.
And there's one story in there where Vijay, he hadn't taken any milk or anything before he went to bed. And so Vijay tried to wake him to give him a little bit of milk. And his body was just limp.
Limp, yeah.
And he kept trying, and it was just limp. And in the morning, Vijay said, Babaji, when I tried to lift you to give you a little bit of milk to drink, your body wasn't there. And Babaji said to him, never touch me after I've gone to bed. And there's other stories about him obviously doing all the business that you talk about, because in that story where he told you, after the sun rises, then I'm busy doing all these things, and he's going everywhere. And so that's where he was that night. Obviously, he would go off and take care of the rest of the cosmos. So I just feel how fortunate we are to be with him, whether we met him in physical form or just in our hearts. It's such a rare and precious blessing. Thank you for sharing those stories. I could listen all day.
Yeah. So the last thing which I can share with you is that he said that the modern man, I mean not people sitting in this room, but people outside, they become very intolerant, impatient. They don't like the other human being. They keep fighting. There'll be anarchy one day. There'll be no law and order. So you are thinking, and then one day out of the blue, he tells me about the Third World War, which I'm going to share with you. And he said that, pointing at me, he said, your Mahabharat lasted for 17 days. The Third World War will last for 17 minutes. Which, as a student of, science and military science, I understand why. And just to make you understand why 17 minutes it will last. You see, there are 3 ways you can throw atomic bombs at your adversary. One is that you can send your, bombers armed with like the B-29 at the time of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But these bombers can be, shot down in the air. Anyway, so there's a question mark. Then the second is the land-based silos in which what the Chinese balloon was trying to photograph. But the third one is a very sinister one and the most powerful, which is by way of nuclear submarines. And 50% of the American arsenal of nuclear weapons, bombs, is inside nuclear submarines. 50%. You have 13 or 14 of them, and we call them the Ohio class submarines. And each submarine has 10 hatches on either side. Now the submarine is submerged, hundreds of feet below the sea of thousands. And suddenly the order comes, the hatches open. A Trident 2D5 missile is fired from underwater and it is taken to the surface by compressed air. The most important part is that the moment it touches air, the sensors are there, the rocket boosters start. It's got a two-stage rocket booster. It goes up, the first one separates, the second one takes it even higher and separates. Now only the nose cone is left. And what does the nose cone have? It can have up to 12 or 14 independently targeted MIRV, what we call multiple injection re-entry vehicles in the nose, and it goes into space. This is not an atmospheric war at all. This goes into space, and there it enters, so pretty much like the space shuttle, it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere as a fiery ball, and they've taken care that nothing inside will go haywire. And one weapon, it's known as W-88 nuclear bomb. It will drop at one place, another will drop second, third, fourth, up till 8, 10, 14 places it can drop. There's a SALT II treaty by which they have said that not more than 8 or 10 can be carried. But in the event of first firing, who do you think is going to check them? Nobody. So this entire time, it has been calculated by scientists, will take any time between 15 to 20 minutes from the time of firing. And all 20 hatches can, send the missiles into the air and into the sea in 1 minute. In 1 minute, it can empty out its entire arsenal. And what is the strength of each bomb? It is 475 kilotons, each bomb. And one Trident 5 missile is carrying 10, 12 of them. And Hiroshima bomb was about 18 kilotons. Nagasaki was 25 kilotons. 475 kilotons, each bomb. And Babaji is telling me that 4 buttons will be pressed. It lasts for 70 minutes and everything will be automatic. Obviously, where are the NORAD headquarters that sees Russian missiles coming in? You won't even have the time to ring up the president. Biden or Trump or whoever is in command those days. Will you have time? You will not have time. So your artificial intelligence based, programs will say that, okay, now this is the thing and it's originated from here and I'm going to fire. So both sides, the first strike capability is of say X, the Y will see them coming, it will fire the missiles, and 17 minutes before the first bomb occurs, and Babaji said that the world population will come down to 25%. So the world population is 8 billion now, it will come down to 2 billion. And he says you will see one lamp at about 100 kilometers distance from apart. And the living, so I'm pointing at myself, the living will envy the dead. They'll curse God that why the hell did you not take me away? And I said, why should this happen? He says, this is not the first time it's happening. Whatever you are seeing in the world by way of scientific achievements has happened before. And in Indian text it is written as Udan Khatola, Pushpak Viman, Brahmastra, the atomic bomb. All these are mentioned in a text. So it says every time science reaches these heights, science itself destroys itself. So question is that where do you and I come in? We come in that if we can spread this consciousness of Om Namah Shivaya here, around, maybe it will get into Mr. Putin's ear or maybe, Donald Trump's ear someday, something they might think twice. Because it has been seen worldwide, historically, that you need only one person to, bring calamity on this world. Adolf Hitler, one chap. What is the result? 70 million people killed. 70 million. So these are the things. So it has to be consciousness. And secondly, once a shot has been fired, even Lord Shiv cannot bring back those things and put them back into the missile. So then the second thing which can happen is that Om Namah Shivaya can lessen the damage. Damage control can be brought in. So Babaji has written many times, and I'm sure all of you have read, that Om Namah Shivaya is more powerful than the atomic bomb. And guess what? I'm trying to make a film on it, and my friend Rahul, who's sitting in front of me, will take me to the atomic bomb places. And the reason why Babaji can do something about it is that not known to everybody. You will see in another film now, the maker of the first atomic bomb, Dr. Robert Oppenheimer, was a devotee of Lord Vishnu. He knew Sanskrit very well. He had studied Sanskrit in Berkeley, and he read the Gita in New York. Dr. Robert Oppenheimer, under whom there were thousands of nuclear scientists, somewhere near Santa Fe, they created Los Alamos, and that is where it was tested. So 3 times in that book, in Making of the Atomic Bomb, it is written there that he prayed to Gita. He knew, could chant Sanskrit mantras absolutely fluently, Robert Oppenheimer. And he said, okay, something was not happening, something went wrong first time. So he chanted the mantra, they got it right. Again, it's 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration, but he did that. Second time, when the Trinity explosion took place in July, a few weeks before and third time the actual bomb was dropped, and it is a very well-known fact. So the very fact that it was Lord Vishnu whose blessings he invoked at correct times, so it will not be, I mean, you can think that if there's anybody who can bring down this kind of a calamity, it is Lord Shiv. So we're trying, it's very difficult kind of an abstract topic, but well, there's nothing easy in this world.